Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. All right. Good morning, everyone. We're delighted to see everyone. I know this is a welcome reception for our new members, and it's also a chance for the Contemporary Issues program to be heard by a lot of folks. So this morning, I'm Sarah Holmes with the Contemporary Issues Committee, and we'll be talking about food gatherers. And food gatherers is the agency that has been selected by FCC to be the recipient of our fundraising effort that we do every year called the Easter egg tree. And you may have seen it down in the lobby and with colorful eggs. And we're going to hear this morning from Danny Wyman. And Danny, for 3.5 years, has been she's the manager of public relations and communications at Food Gatherers. And she'll be talking with us about the enormous program that they offer to 140 different agencies throughout our county. And many of those agencies are places that our congregation, FCC, supports through various grants through M&O. So we're delighted to have Danny with us and to take this opportunity to learn more about food gatherers. So thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you, Sarah, for the introduction, and thank you guys for having me. I want to start off just by thanking the First Congregational Church of Ann Arbor staff and members for being so dedicated to serving our community. The hunger relief work that Food Gatherers does is only possible thanks to the generous support that we get from community members like yourself. So thank you very much. Can I get a quick show of hands? How many of you are familiar with Food Gatherers? Quite a few. All right, that's awesome. So I'm going to be talking with you all today about the work that Food Gatherers does, kind of the current state of food insecurity in our county, and the impact that Food Gatherers has on alleviating hunger in our community. So hopefully, for those of you who already know us, you learned something a little bit new today. So Food Gatherers is the food bank and food rescue program serving Washtenaw County. We exist to alleviate hunger and eliminate its causes in our community. And we believe that everybody deserves food and nutritious food that it takes to live a healthy lifestyle. So that's who we are, but I'm going to back up a little bit and share with you some history about how Food Gatherers got started. So we began in 1988 by a couple workers from Zingerman's Deli. I'm sure you guys are very familiar. So they, working in the restaurant industry, had been noticing a lot of food waste going on and a lot of perfectly good and lovely meals being thrown away at the end of the night. They had also been seeing a lot of hunger in the community. So they connected those dots, and they borrowed a van just from one of their friends' restaurants. They drove around to a couple restaurants that evening, picked up food that was otherwise going to be thrown out at the end of the night. And they dropped off about 50 pounds of food to meal programs in Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti that Thanksgiving. So that was kind of the beginning of our entire food rescue operation. That was the first food rescue program in the state of Michigan, and one of the first few in the country as well. So it was still a very new concept. But we have been doing food rescue and food banking ever since then. So around the mid-90s, we took over the local food bank that was happening. So food rescue today looks quite a bit different from what it looked like back then. Rather than just going to a couple restaurants, we're working with almost every grocery store and retailer across the county of Washtenaw County. And we pick up food that's no longer profitable for them to sell for one reason or another. So a lot of times they've just ordered too much food and they need to push stuff out. Sometimes there's slight damage to an item, but it's still perfectly safe food to eat. So we have a team of drivers that drives around to all of those different grocery stores. They pick up that food and they bring it back to our warehouse, where we work with a team of volunteers who help us sort through that food, making sure that it's still safe food for people to eat and quality food as well. And so that is food rescue. I mentioned we also do food banking. So what that entails is we're sourcing food from the USDA and other bulk suppliers across, we get food at reduced cost and then redistribute that to the county. So I've got a food sources chart over here, which shows how much of that food is coming from each of those sources. So over here, we've got this giant cabbage. That's about 50% of our food, and that's the donated food, which includes all of that food rescued food. It also includes food donated from individuals, local farms and gardens, and the food that we get through food drives as well. And then over on this side here, this orange pepper here is showing our federal resources. So that is currently about 30% of our total food distributed. And then over here, we've got this tomato showing 21%, and that's the food that Food Gatherers purchases. Now, we have recently made a chart just like this, but to forecast our food sourcing for the next year. And just based on what we already know, so food resources that have already been canceled and not the ones that very likely will or may, and not including rising food insecurity, which is a very likely chance as well. That would show this donated portion over here being about the same. So since we work with all of these grocery stores and it's already very saturated, our donated food stays about the same year after year. Our federal resources, however, this would be cut in half. We've already lost 15% of our total food distributed. That means that this purchased number right here, that's going to increase and be an additional 15% to make up for that food that has been lost. So this number here would be about 36% of our total food distribution being food that we need to purchase. So that is kind of where the food that gets distributed is coming from. But to share with you how the distribution works, we work with about 140 different partner agencies across Washtenaw County, like Sarah was telling you. So this basically ensures that no matter where someone is living in the county, this food is very accessible to them. So if we were just to serve food out of our warehouse in Ann Arbor, it could be really tricky for people who are living in like Dexter or Ypsilanti to come get food. And the organizations that we work with, they have either food pantries or meal programs. So hunger relief is still a piece of what they're doing. They're able to see all of the food that we have on our website, and they go through that inventory, they decide what they want, and then we get that food delivered to them. We're never charging for any of those overhead costs like transportation. And then we don't charge these organizations for food rescue since that's all coming in for free. Basically, we extend the discounted price that we get from the food bank directly to these organizations. But on top of that, we also have a program called Carrot Credits, which is where we give our organizations grant dollars to purchase the food, so they're not actually paying anything at all for that food. And the reason this is so important is that we partner with very critical programs across Washtenaw County. They have very important missions of their own. And I know that we support a number of the organizations that your church also supports. So for example, we work with Jewish Family Services, we work with Peace Neighborhood, and we work with SOS Community Services, and many others as well. So by providing no-cost food to these organizations for their hunger relief efforts, we're making sure that they can save their own fundraising dollars for their own missions. Because like I said, they're doing very important work in the community, so that helps them kind of prioritize where those dollars are going. And on top of providing food to other organizations, we have a few programs of our own. So over here on this poster, we've got those listed. We've got our summer food service program, which is where we have sites all across Washtenaw County where kids and teens can eat for free in the summertime. A lot of students in Washtenaw County during the school year have access to free or reduced priced meals, and when school gets out for the summer, they lose all of that, and they don't have access to that food. So child hunger goes up in the summertime. So Food Gatherers creates all of these sites where they can get free food. They don't have to worry about that food lost. And then we have the Healthy School Pantry program, which is where we provide nutritious food like fresh produce to, we provide nutritious food, and then we also provide healthy recipes and nutrition education to the families of students in Washtenaw County. We've also got the community kitchen. So we run the community kitchen at the Delana Center. This is where we serve nice, hot, fresh, nutritious meals to the shelter 364 days a year. So the only day we're not open would be on Thanksgiving, and that's just because there's other meal programs going on that day. But we work with volunteers who are there every day serving 2 meals a day, and then that's on weekdays, and on weekends there's 1 meal in the center of the day. And then we've also got neighborhood grocery initiatives. This is a program where we partner with affordable housing communities in the county, and we provide them with perishable foods like produce and other staples so that the residents of those communities, if they're having trouble getting reliable access to the food pantries nearby, then they won't need transportation. They can just go right to the center at their community site and get food. So those are our programs. And so to wrap up, I just want to give you guys a bit of data on food insecurity and the impact that Food Gatherers has. So in Washtenaw County, 1 in 8 of our neighbors are facing hunger. 12.3% of our county's children are food insecure. And when we look at demographics, Black and Latino individuals experience the highest rates of food insecurity, despite when you're looking at the demographic data for the county, those being much smaller percentages. So we're seeing a disproportionate effect by race as well. So what has Food Gatherers' impact been on all that? Pre-pandemic, we were meeting the need for food insecurity by distributing around 6.5 million pounds of food in a year. In our last fiscal year, we saw huge increases in the need for food. So we distributed a record-breaking 10 million pounds of food, nearly doubling what we were distributing pre-pandemic. That number serves 60,000 individuals in Washtenaw County, which was the highest number of people our food pantries have ever seen. I know that can be a lot to take in. Those numbers are unfortunate that many people are experiencing food insecurity. But kind of the silver lining here is that when we compare the numbers that Food Gatherers distributed and the amount of people we served food to in our last fiscal year, that number was slightly higher than the food insecurity rate for Washtenaw County. So that suggested that we were able to at least meet that need, if not exceed by a bit. The people who were experiencing food insecurity had reliable access to food. So I'm gonna kind of wrap up there, but I just wanna reiterate that all of this hunger relief work that Food Gatherers does is only possible thanks to all of the people in our community who are working together. So all of the partner organizations that we work with, all of the community members like yourself, and we had over 4,000 volunteers in our last fiscal year who helped us sort through that food, making sure that we could get that out. So I just wanna thank your church and all of you for supporting our community and running this fundraiser. We're extremely grateful, and thank you for having me. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to stick around for a bit. Thank you.
much, Danny. She did a wonderful job. Does anyone have any questions about food gatherers and their
Yep. Any questions? Oh. They want you to.
I didn't. I thought I was going to talk without a mic. I shouldn't do that. Yes, well, we're very grateful to Danny. I think she's did a wonderful job of covering all aspects of how food gatherers impacts our county, our whole county. And she said she would welcome any questions, and it sounds like we have a question. Maybe I can give Sue the.
In regards to the 30% that's getting cut to 15%, and then having to make up that difference with purchasing, what's the dollar amount that you're projecting for that?
I don't have that number off the top of my head, I'm sorry. But, so we know that 15% would be over 2 million meals that we distributed.
Okay.
So I have it in that form. I don't have the exact dollar value.
Okay, but 2 million meals.
Over 2 million meals, yeah.
That's very significant. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Danny? And just a reminder that as you go downstairs, you'll see in the lobby the Easter egg tree with beautiful decorated eggs, and that is the way we have chosen this year to help our community through donations to food gatherers. So just grab an egg. Yes, Greg.
Just want to let everybody know who's been up here that we're almost to 200 dozen eggs pledged.
Wow, 200 dozen eggs pledged, and that's $4 a dozen? Oh, $5. Okay, all right, great, wonderful. That's a great update. Yeah, okay. Anything else? I know Danny will be, oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Barbara.
Are the local farms involved in this as well, or is that, are in terms of donating to food gatherers? You may have said that and I missed it.
Yeah, we work with all kinds of local farms, and we get donated food from them, and we also purchase food from them. So Michigan has this really wonderful program called MASS, and this gives us money to purchase food from local farmers. And this is actually one of the programs that is at risk of losing funding right now, and it's a very critical program for us. So that's part of the advocacy work that we're doing right now is on the federal level. We're trying to protect SNAP because SNAP is a very important piece of the hunger relief puzzle. For every one meal that a food bank provides, SNAP can provide 9. So if SNAP loses funding, like is being proposed, then all of that falls on food banks. And then on the state level, the MASS program, we're advocating for that as well because that is also at risk of losing funding. And that's a very important program for us to be able to support our state's farmers and for people to be able to receive that really fresh, nutritious farm food.
What's the second program? You mentioned SNAP and the other one?
MASS, M-A-S-S, it's the Michigan Agriculture Surplus, I forget the second S, but yeah, probably system.
Is that provided by the federal government to the state, and is that why it might get lost?
That's a great question. I'm not sure if, I believe it's, I know for us it's coming from the state, but they might be receiving federal money for that program. Any other questions?
I just want to say I think the figures on this are really important so that we're all face to
Yeah, it's very important. We're seeing changes happen so quickly. I mentioned the 15% that has already been canceled, but there's many other changes going on right now that just haven't been solidified into place. So we're not giving numbers or values on those yet, but that's just kind of the first impact that we've seen. Yeah.
So if we were to advocate, what would be helpful for us to advocate for?
Yeah, that's great. So, sure. So she asked if you all were to advocate, what are the important things to advocate for? So yeah, we are encouraging everybody to contact your legislators and to tell them that we need to protect SNAP on the federal level. And on the state level, like I said, we're advocating right now heavily for the MASS program. I would say those are the two priorities for us right now in terms of advocating.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.